Hi, I'm Bill Allen from Load Controls. I would like to go through the full-scale calibration of our PMP 25 pump monitor. The PMP 25 uses the rangefinder toroid to set up capacity scales from fractional size motors to 50 horsepower. At this point, the PMP 25 will have been properly installed following the installation manual, and it's time to match the full scale of the display to the full scale capacity of the rangefinder toroid. Let's zoom in and get started. The chart on page 2 of the installation manual was made for 460 volt motors. The chart headings are motor size, full scale capacity in horsepower, percent load, dip switch positions for the rangefinder toroid, and the number of turns to be taken through the rangefinder toroid. Let's use 5 horsepower for the motor size in this example. Finding 5 horsepower on the left-hand side of the chart and moving across to the right, we see that the full scale capacity is 5.5 horsepower. The percent full load is 110. Dip switch position number 2 is on with all others off, and 1 turn taken through the rangefinder toroid, which is a single pass. The full scale capacity column is the range of the internal power sensor in terms of horsepower. This chart was made for 460 volt motors. For other motor voltages, multiply full scale capacity by the multiplier shown here to get the new full scale capacity at your motor voltage. The new full scale capacity in horsepower needs to be larger than your motor size. The next step is to decide how power is to be displayed. By entering 5.5 as full scale, the display will read in terms of horsepower. By entering 110, the display will read percentage of load. kW can also be displayed. To find the full scale capacity in kW, multiply the horsepower capacity by 0.746. There is no auto conversion between horsepower, percent load, or kW. The full scale number must be entered into the display and the indicator selected to show the units of measurement. Let's program the display. The programming chart on page 4 of the installation manual shows a cycle of the full scale menu and the menu selections. The full scale button cycles the display through the menu selections with each press and release. After a press and release, the display will blink and wait 5 seconds for an entry before returning back to normal operation. Also, display changes can only be made by holding the enter button down until the blinking stops, which takes 5 seconds. The first press and release of the full scale button is for entering the digits of the full scale capacity number, which in this example is 550. Move to the up or down arrow and hold down for fast incrementing of the digits. Don't worry about a decimal point, that will be done in the next step. When you get close, tap the up or down arrow to step the display to 550 and enter. Move back and tap the full scale button 3 times to move the decimal point over to show 5.50 and enter. Move back and tap the full scale button to light up the horsepower indicator and enter. Let go of the full scale button and the display will reset back to normal operation. To check the number you just entered, tap the full scale button and the display should read 5.50 with the horsepower indicator on. Let's go back to the programming chart and review what we just did. The first press and release of the full scale button shows the digits of the full scale number. We set the 550, then held enter until the blinking stopped. We tap the full scale button 3 times to move the decimal point over to read 5.50 and enter the decimal point. Lastly, we tap the full scale button to show the horsepower indicator and held enter to select. The display will now read horsepower and be matched to the rangefinder toroid, which we configured for a 5 horsepower motor. The full scale capacity is set to 5.5 horsepower. Okay, well that's it for setting up the full scale of the PMP 25. If you have any questions, give us a call here at Load Controls. And thank you for your business.